Hey everyone, this is Dimensions of the Supernatural. I am Maureen Grudzinski, and I'm here with my great co-host, Anthony Simonelli.
Yeah, how you doing tonight? Okay.
Mr. Forget About It.
No, forget about it. Okay, hey, how did I forget about it? I forgot about it.
We're a little mishugged right now.
I took a week off. I forgot about it. Hey.
So, tonight we have an interesting guest, as always, which I think all of our guests are really interesting for lots of different reasons. Tonight we have Chris Mendace. Chris he's the coolest. He has been known as a paranormal investigator. Hi guys. Hi everyone. Jenny and Ron and Bobby and Felicity and all of our others out there. If you haven't signed up to come in through Facebook with your name attached to it, please do it so we know who you are. And if you want to just lurk around a little bit, that's okay too. We understand. So back to Chris. So Chris is getting ready to sign on. He has quite the biography. He is known for his paranormal investigations. He is also part of a team. I can't remember the name of his team, actually, because I was so excited about what's coming out on Friday. He is known as United for the Unknown. Sorry about that. So he's had documentaries such as Demon Castle, Darkness in Suburbia, and what's coming out as The Hotel Shanley. It's coming out Friday on March 22nd on the Scare TV network. I keep getting it wrong and saying the Scare Network TV. He can also... What's that?
Pretty good network. I signed up for the other day, and I'm looking at all the stuff on it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, so I'm sorry. His podcast is also under the same name as his platforms, United for the Unknown. And this Friday again, Scare TV Network, the Hotel Shanley, which we all know and love. A lot of us have been there before. Hi, Todd and Camilla. Yes. I think it's one of my favorite places, and I didn't even get to really investigate the third floor, but it has wicked, awesome stuff on the third floor. And if you haven't been there, get there.
Yeah, I've been there quite a few times. I've been there since the 2010 when they first started with the paranormal stuff all the way up, and it's awesome. Really is awesome. The Shanley Hotel. So definitely you got to go. You got to go.
And of course, we love the owner, Kelly, and manager, Tracy. So give a big shout out to them. But
matter of fact, I think her Tracy's in the documentary. Also, Stephanie. Stephanie works there also.
Yeah, and Kelly's in it as well. Yeah. But we also have several of other friends in there. And Chris just showed up, so we'll bring him on. He can talk a little bit more about that. I'm really excited to hear what he has to say. And if he can give us more information, maybe he can't, but we'll find out. And we'll see what we come up with. Hi, Chris.
What's up?
What's up, buddy? How you doing? Long time no see.
I know. How's everything?
Good. You?
It's great, man. It's great. It's been pretty busy. But thank you guys for having me on the show. This is awesome. I'm excited to be here tonight. You guys are amazing. I've done multiple work with you, Anthony. I mean, you know how it goes down, but
quite a few times.
So what's going on?
Yeah, we're excited to have you.
Remember years ago I was on your podcast.
Wow. What did you say? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
I was on your podcast years ago. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
I drove all the way down to from South Jersey. It took me like 1 billion hours from Queens.
Yeah,
I was on your podcast.
Yeah, that was
awesome.
That was a fun day.
Yeah.
Hey, but, it's still fun.
It's still fun. To be honest with you, I went back to the old school days where I just go out and just do investigations just for fun like I used to. You know, nothing crazy, but now I mean it's kind of picking up a little more here. You know, more often, especially with ScareNetwork.tv. I heard you guys talking about the Shanley documentary. That's awesome.
Yeah. It sounds like it really picked up.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be great. For those of you guys that don't know, obviously the Shanley Hotel is in Napanock, New York. It's an awesome location if you haven't investigated. take some time and investigate it. That place never ceases to amaze me. It always has something paranormal happening. No matter what time of day you go, you can be there during the day, you can be there during the night. Something's always going to happen, especially on that third floor.
How many times have you been there?
So that was my second time going there. The first time I went there, I think I went with Anthony and Ron. It was me, Anthony, Ron, Dennis. Dennis was there. For those guys don't know, Dennis Lasoon.
Yeah, and it's what do you call? Haiti was there, and Mikey.
Mikey, that's where Mikey got his attachment from. Well,
yeah, he got his attachment that time with us there, and Patrick was there.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yep.
He showed up like usually late, So.
It sounds like my very first time there with everybody. It's all the same story. Patrick was late. Dennis was there.
Dennis was there.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that was
awesome. That's where we learned Dennis's naked investigator story.
Oh.
That's where he ended up getting his nickname, the Naked Investigator.
I can see why.
You were out of paranormal field for a while there. You just disappeared on us, but unless you come back strong. Seeing us like, wow, he's back, awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I took a little hiatus there for a minute. I was still doing investigations left and right, especially some people that kept inviting me to different places, and like I said, I just wanted to go back and do it the old way, like how I initially started, and just doing it just for the investigation and learning aspect of things, not necessarily just to go there and make content. But it's, for whatever reason, has picked up a little bit. I started making content again, started to get my YouTube page back up and running. And right now I'm currently working, obviously, there's a new documentary on ScareNetwork.tv coming out for the Shanley Hotel. There's been a couple other documentaries that came out. Multiple, actually, the last one was the Demon Castle. I would suggest, before you watch the Shanley Hotel, watch the Demon Castle. I'm getting some kind of feedback. Is that from you guys?
I'm getting a hum.
Yeah.
I don't hear anything.
Okay.
Is it me?
Oh, I don't know.
I just heard that too.
Yeah.
It stopped.
It stopped.
Oh, it was Maureen.
Oh, now we can't hear you.
Now we can't hear you, Maureen.
I muted my mic to see if it was me, so it must be me. Is it gone?
It's still there.
Let me see if I can fix my settings while you guys talk.
Yeah, no problem. So, prior to watching the Shanley Hotel, actually, the best thing to do is to watch the Demon Castle, which is out on ScareNetwork.tv as well. And you'll get a little bit of an understanding. It's almost like a two-part series in a way. You get a little bit of an understanding of what was this Demon Castle that actually, without giving everything away, that actually sort of was coming through there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, other than that, like I'm actually working on another project right now that I'm actually putting together, like producing and actually editing all the video together. And it's going to be premiered at the Clifton 5 Theater. I don't have a date yet, but it's actually going to be premiered on the movie screen. So it's going to be
That's awesome.
Of the actual location. It's going to be an investigation on location, premiered at the actual location, which is in Huntington, PA. In addition to that, there'll be a possibility of people actually getting to investigate the hotel after the premiere, which should be awesome. I think this is definitely going to be one of the other coolest projects that I've worked on. Awesome people there. I have Scotty the medium, obviously.
Yes, Scotty Davis.
Sean Austin.
And,
and then you have a whole bunch of other amazing people there as well.
We had them both on the show already.
Oh yeah,
Sean's been on the show and Scotty's been on the show. Yeah,
that was my first time actually like really investigating with Scotty. He definitely impressed me. And I would definitely work with him any time of day.
Yeah, Scotty's a good guy to work with. I've been there quite a few times with him, and he's such a nice guy. You know what I mean? There's not many people in the field. I mean, you meet right away and you just like take a liking to. Yeah.
And he's also like spot on with some of the stuff that he got. I mean, especially that night. But like I said, he definitely impressed me that night, and that's also going to be coming out in the future. We're still working on it. But the main thing is that Haunted Shanley Hotel. We're actually going to be doing a podcast on that tomorrow as well. I think it's going to be Lourdes, myself, Sean Austin, Billy. Billy put the whole thing together. He's actually the owner of ScareNetwork.tv. He shoots all this documentaries. He puts it together himself, so he does a great job with that stuff.
Oh, that's good. Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm really excited for this. I love documentaries about places. It's, you're actually just talking about the background of it and what transpired. It's not just, scare after scare after scare. What did you feel was the actual reason behind the hauntings in the house?
So based on that investigation alone, we were there for a couple nights, let's say at least like 3 nights altogether. We had different things coming through, and it had to really do with the past and the history of that location. Without giving too much, there was an instance where we were actually making contact with what we thought were the 2 brothers that were downstairs on the 2nd floor. The 2 gangster brothers, I think they at one point were getting shot at each other in the room, where the bullet hole is still there. And it was like very intelligent responses that we were getting, and to the point where it was physical. Like you could actually see a REM pod being pushed over, a millimeter being pushed down on command, as soon as, and not just once, but multiple times, as well as some of the other things. I mean, there's also things obviously that, for whatever reason, seems to come from other locations at times, but for the bulk of it, it's mainly related to the history and everything that has been recorded in that property itself.
When we first got there, there was something really pulling me towards the back of the building, where there is that. It's kind of like it looks like a farmhouse kind of, but it's attached to the building.
The bordello.
And it kind of just kept pulling at me, but the 3rd floor had me so messed up because every single room had something different that was like making me dizzy, or something surrounding my feet, or pulling at me, or running at me at high speed. It was just really weird. It's a weird place.
Yeah, and you, like, I don't know if it's the structure itself or the way that it's built or was built back in the day. You also get that little funhouse effect feeling too, where your equilibrium is actually messed up when you're walking by. You start feeling like you're unbalanced, especially on the 3rd floors. I experienced that a lot on the 3rd floor.
Yeah.
But anytime we got that feeling as well, there was always some sort of activity that would happen. We would hear, like voices or like little kids humming. At one point, I think we heard a little girl asking for daddy, which was kind of weird. I'd never heard that there before. That was my first time hearing that.
There was in the past, people have heard stuff like that, X for daddy.
Yeah. Which was interesting. I mean, that was my first experience there. Obviously, there was some really cool stuff that happened when Sean and I were upstairs by ourselves. That actually, like I said, without giving too much, you would have to watch the Demon Castle to actually understand where some of the stuff that was coming through at the same time actually was coming through. I don't know if you saw Ron posted his on YouTube after we did the investigation there. He posted a whole like little YouTube session of his Staticom session that was legitimately just talking about me and talking about demons and all sorts of stuff that was coming through. It was insane. But it was definitely a fun time.
Yeah. That place is awesome. It really is. When it comes to investigations, and there's so much history going back in time there, and I know Scotty's like he lives there half the time, Scotty. I know I've been there with Sean also, where we got a lot of information too. I think I might have been there with Sean with you too.
That was the time I was supposed to go and I couldn't make it.
Okay, yeah, all right. Because I was there with Sean also.
Yeah, it was my birthday. I remember that day exactly. I had to work on my birthday and I couldn't even make it to see you. I was a little upset.
Yeah, we had a good time. Well, it would have been great, if you were there too. But
of course.
So
it's always a pleasure investigating with you.
Yeah, the other night I actually put the Scare Network. I'm going to start checking that out because it looks like you have a lot of good stuff on there. And I seen the castle and everything. So, I'm going to definitely. Matter of fact, I was going to check that first before I did the Shanley. Because I want to see. That's a pretty good network.
Oh yeah, definitely. Especially, I mean, now it's starting to get more, just being put out there more. And a lot more people are starting to learn about it, and I have a feeling it's going to kick off soon. Billy's going to be doing pretty well.
Yeah, that's going to be good.
I really like going into a place not knowing what to expect because I just like medium, I like to, not have anything that's going to change my thoughts or change my feelings. And I remember walking into the Shanley, fresh off the street. And when I walked in, I was very at home. It seemed very cozy, like in the front door when you get into the living room. And then I think it was Tracy. Tracy was the one that walked me through, and she said, all right, so I'll walk you through the first floor and then I'll take you to the second floor. And every room had a very different vibe there as well. And then we went back downstairs. We were going to start setting up. And then Patrick showed up with his pizza as usual. And then she said, do you want to see the third floor? And I said, absolutely. And he goes, oh, I really want to see how this is going to go. And I think it was Dennis that came with us. And she pulled the third floor open. And I went, oh my God, who was that? And she said, what do you mean? And I said, and I don't want to ruin it too much for people. And I said, who just came out of there? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And
you're talking about the third floor, right?
Yeah.
Third floor.
Yeah.
And I said,
energy up there.
I said, I'm just feeling like tight. And then it was like, I looked up and I looked down really quickly and I said, and who's the little boy who did it? Like, it was just.
It was weird.
The feeling was just crazy. And she goes, well, if you feel that now, get upstairs because you're not going to understand what it's going to be like until you get up there. And like even the third floor every room was different. And Patrick was like, that was freaky that you did that like that. And I was like, well, I guess we're in store for a really interesting night. The whole night was like that.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, like you said, I mean,
building. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Chris. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
You're the guest. Go talk. You could talk.
No, I was just gonna say, like the whole, like, I was probably gonna touch a little bit on what you were gonna touch on, but that energy, like in the entire building, is always like there's a lot of energy there, but it's always a different type of energy. It's never the same, and especially on the third floor. The third floor always feels a lot heavier to me than any other floor. Second floor is like getting there, but it's not there all the way. And then once you go into the bordello, that's just a whole different energy in itself.
Yeah.
I think you were with us, Anthony, when we were doing the investigation there. We had the little shadow figure of like a little girl running back and forth from one room to like back out to little meeting area and then back out to the different rooms.
Yeah, and we try to follow. I know I try to get it with the camera, but that night too, that one room in the back, Annie's room. That's why when I go there, that's my room now in the bordello back there. But there's a doll on the top shelf. That same night after that happened, looked like the head moved, and even on my camera, it looked like it moved. But it was such a distance. But yeah, so that was interesting that night. Yes.
Yeah. Now, I'll tell you something cool. Talking about shadows that I recently captured. Actually, at a tattoo shop not far from me.
Oh,
I ended up leaving.
Talk to you about that. All right.
Okay. So I was at the Convent Tattoo Shop here in South Jersey, actually. And I left a static camera rolling in the piercing room. Just left it there. When we go back through evidence, we have to sit there and watch all these videos. I'm watching this video. Nobody was there investigating. Like, I don't think anybody really went in there the entire night to investigate that area because everybody was just mainly focused on the doll rooms and everything else, all in the other section. And I got bored. I start fast forwarding through the video. As I fast forward, I see these two shadow figures going back and forth, like right in front of the doorway. And it looks like they're like talking to each other. And the one just kind of overpowers the other one, just disappears. I was like, that's kind of weird. So I went back and tried to play it back in normal time. From the time that I started fast forwarded to the time I stopped, nothing. Can't see it again. Don't see it at all. So I went back and tried it again. I fast forwarded. And as soon as I fast forward it does it again. Well, come to find out, the shadow figure itself was moving so slow that if you're watching the actual video, you're not going to see it. It's only when you fast forward it, that's when you actually see all the movement or
In
everything.
between, yes. That's okay.
So that was my first time ever experiencing that, and I caught that by mistake, to be honest with you, because I wasn't even expecting to see that on there. But you can only see it if you had it like 200 times the speed to actually fast forward through the whole thing and actually see it move at fast pace. Which brings me back to my other investigations. Like, how many times have we investigated something that we didn't capture because something like that didn't happen? I mean, like I said, I caught that by mistake. Like, I wasn't even expecting to see that, but we tried to debunk it. We tried doing all sorts of things, but there was just no way of debunking that. Like, it only happened. It's moving so slow that you can't see it at normal time. And in addition to
then you got to slow it down to do the evidence and get it to just right. Because I had that with went to Kingsland Manor. We had something like that, and I just panning by with my camera, and Lourdes at the time was walking to a doorway. You seen the evidence on this one, Maureen? And Lourdes was walking to the doorway, and I just noticed something go by quick. I was, what the hell was that? So I fast forward, slowed down, and everything, and you can see somebody standing up in front of her, running in front of her. It's a shadow, but she didn't see it. I just caught it on camera that quick. That's how quick it was.
Right.
So I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, which was interesting because, like I said, I've never had that happen. It was kind of a learning curve. Like, instead of just watching the video at normal pace, half the time watching a normal pace and go back and fast forward it through the whole thing and try to see if you see something. Because I mean, I definitely would have missed that if I never fast forward and didn't get bored of watching the same screen. For 6 hours.
Because what happens is they're so fast between the frames of the video, because it's so many frames per second of video. Okay, I know it used to be 30 frames per second.
Yeah, they're up to 60 now, so you can do.
Yeah, it goes faster now. So each one, they're so fast, they go per frame. So your eye's not going to catch that. Like you said, you have to go slow to catch that. Yeah.
Well, this was the opposite. So this was moving so slow that you had actually to play it fast forward through it to actually see it.
Just to get it.
Which was cool.
That is wild. That is so wild. Yeah. The camera. Remember, you had that Canon camera. Remember we went.
I still have it.
You still have it? Because I have one, and that's my camera that I use all the time now.
Yeah, I have two of them. So I have a Canon XA20 and the XA10, and then I have a Sony night vision camera, like the newer ones, the 4K ones. I can't stand them.
Really?
I've lost so many evidence with it. So if you're not paying attention to the battery, your battery dies in the middle of the investigation. It deletes that entire file.
Oh shit! Really?
So it doesn't save it. Yeah. So I've lost, actually, for the Shanley documentary, it happened once while we were in the basement. I was recording the entire time. The camera died, and then the video completely was going.
Oh, that bite.
And it happened somewhere else recently, which I was a little upset. Actually, when we're doing the Clifton 5 theater. But for that reason, I set up multiple cameras. So I have different angles now. So,
how's it 20?
How's it what? The 20?
Yeah.
It's about the same, but it has a little bit better quality. So, like, you can shoot a 4K.
I love the 10.
Yeah, and it has a little better stabilizer too.
Really?
Like on the actual lens. Yeah. But I'm going to just shooting with tripods. So I just set them on tripod, and then I'll have like one handheld. And obviously like capture the overall view of the room, and then obviously what you're looking at.
Yeah, we'll be doing body cams now too.
Yeah, they're nice. I was looking to try to one of those the glasses, the Facebook glasses.
Okay.
And actually, I don't know if you've seen the videos. The video of those glasses, it's pretty cool. It's like a first-person point of view, like video. Whatever you're looking at, that's exactly what you're seeing on the camera. But I found out they don't really record for a long period of time. They only record for 60 seconds, which is nothing, especially for what we do.
Yeah, I know. You do that for hours, and you want to get up in the middle of the night and just keep on recording, and
yeah. So yeah. So what else have you guys done? Where else have you been since we talked last?
Yeah, well, I've been to a lot of places since we last talked. I mean, remember we did Yorktown together?
Yes.
And we did Shanley together, and we did quite a few things. And after that, you just disappeared. And it was like I kept on going. You see, I'm always with Ron and Lourdes now. You probably see me on Facebook with them all the time.
Yeah.
So we've been doing a lot of stuff together. Well, we got to get back. Yeah.
Oh.
And we got to talk about that tattoo place because I've been trying to get in there and nobody's sending me any emails back. So
I gotcha. Yeah.
That tattoo place, I definitely want to check out.
Yeah, that place is definitely neat. I'm due to go back soon, so definitely want to go back and investigate, which is neat.
Chris,
I don't know if you. Yes, go ahead.
Jenny wants to know, what had you heard about the Shanley before you went, and did you find to actually be true, and what did you find to be not so accurate, if anything?
So that's a good question, but it's also like hard to answer in a way because I try not to hear anything that people say. Like when they talk about locations, I like going there blind. I don't like knowing anything about it because, like you were talking about earlier, anytime we go to a location, we actually know and have some sort of knowledge of what's there, who is said to be there, and your investigation becomes focused on just that information that you have. You're not doing a broad investigation and actually trying to understand the location in itself. So, I mean, I've heard multiple stories, especially with the little kid. There's been multiple stories roaming around with that. Especially the first time I ever went there, somebody else that was completely different that was there at the time. And the story she was giving us was not the same story that we got this time. But at the same time, I like knowing with the facts. I like going with what I can capture, what I can get. And as far as that goes, I mean, we had some pretty good responses with some of the names that were there, that were said to be there. And then obviously everything else that actually came through after the fact. But as far as that goes, I mean, I wouldn't say every information is inaccurate, but there's sometimes, you just got to be weary of what you hear and what you understand and what people tell you.
Oofy, it's real. Warehouse 13.
What's that?
Somebody asked me, Oofy asked me if my backdrop is real. I usually have a what do you call it, a green screen up. And
okay.
I got everything in the way here. I just try cleaning something so it's not as bad in the background, but the background is the background. What am I going to do? It's the background. Hey, I'm here. That's what matters.
Hey.
I said it's Warehouse 13. Dead bodies all stored in the background there. On some stuff.
We don't store them. We chop them up and we give them to the fishes.
Take them to Clinton Road.
Yeah. Clinton Road, yeah. Like the Iceman. I freeze them first. Yeah, I freeze them up and throw them on Clinton Road. If people don't know Clinton Road is supposed to be one of the most haunted roads in New Jersey. And there's a bunch of different things, but there's this hitman back in, what was the 80s, something like that. He was arrested, Iceman. They called him the Iceman. Matter of fact, they made a movie about him and everything. Well, a couple of his bodies, he used to take them and freeze them and then dump them later on. Well, a couple of his bodies he dumped on Clinton Road. I think it was like 7 bodies, something like that. So, yeah. So that,
and they said that was the old school dumping grounds for the mob, too, especially in that area. Which, once again, it's stories. I don't know how true that is, but...
Yeah, I mean, I actually did that. Did you ever go there? I have a couple times.
Yeah, I've been wanting to go, but it's about 3.5 hours from where I live, and I mean, I've traveled further, but
I heard recently. One time, we actually, I had a sunroof on my van. I had a Mercedes, a truck at that time. So I opened the top, and I put the hand camera up there, spun it around, looking in the back. Was the rim of his eyes as you drive down the road? Yeah, there's a ghost car that follows you down the road.
Yeah, the truck. Yeah,
it was a truck. I would pick up whatever. So I put that up there, and I went down the road, and halfway down the road, you do see lights, but there's so many turns, you're not sure. You want to believe it's true, but you don't know because there's so many, it looks like headlights coming at you. It could be somebody stopping or, in the distance, whatnot. So I drove up and down that road a couple of times, and the only problem I had was the people that lived in the area that like, right up my bumper, because I'm not going to go fast with a camera hanging on my car. So they were going around me. But that area is pretty cool. That really is, that area itself.
Yeah.
The cops changed very quickly.
Yeah, they say that's where they have the what they call it, the Hell's Bend or the Hell's Curve,
Mm-hmm.
where everybody tends to run off the road and actually die
Yeah.
in car accidents. Excuse me, but yeah, it's definitely a neat route. It's well known route too. But next time you go there, let me know. I'll come with you.
Yeah, we go there. I mean, I like doing stuff like that. If you're outside, put the cameras on the car and just drive and record. Just hanging out
You
in
should
the roof.
you should look into getting one of those 360 cameras and just putting it on top of the car so it covers everything.
Yeah.
Well,
Back then it was when I went back there, still using the Super 8 cameras, those big cameras.
Okay, yeah.
With the cassettes, putting them in and
Yeah.
stuff. That's what I was still using back then.
Yeah.
That was why I went there, but it was like 2010, 2011, maybe like that. And we're driving up and down Clinton Road with the thing. We pull over the side and the cops chase you and everything. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. They said talking about your mic problem.
So
It's definitely me. I'm trying to fix it.
I think you're good. I don't hear it anymore.
It's because I muted the mic until I talk.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, out of all the stuff you've been to all these years, what was some of the, places that, you want to go back to or just have most, the most adventure, most fun investigating,
There's been two places that I really like to go back to. One of them, I think they're closed down. Actually, I'll go back. There's three altogether. West Virginia State Penitentiary. I would love to go back there again.
You go there, let me know. I love it.
Yeah, that place is awesome. The other one is Greenville Manor, which I believe they shut down.
I think so.
Yeah, Greenville Manor was some pretty crazy, unexpected stuff that would happen there. Especially with the activity. We were hearing audible growls right next to us. We brought Andy with us, Andy Andrews, and him and Sean were investigating in the basement, and he ended up getting a massive scratch on the back of his neck from whatever was there.
Wow.
That place, just thinking about it, I'd love to go back. And then the third one was which one was the third one? Oh, Crescent Sanatorium.
Okay, I never seen that one.
Crescent Sanatorium was great. It's huge. You need at least a good 2 days to actually investigate everything legitimately. We were there for one whole day almost. To I think it was 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. But it was definitely a fun place to investigate. It was massive because it's not just one property. You have the school, you have the 2 prisons, the hospital, the church, and then you have the tunnels underground that connects pretty much everything together, which is cool in itself. That's also in PA.
Isn't Crescent closed now?
Yeah, I think we were one of the last people to go there.
That's sad.
Yeah, from what I've heard, they're still working on it. I think they're still working on it.
I think.
Yeah, they're still trying to leave it open, but that's one of the places I'd love to go back to, as well as Greenville Manor. Greenville Manor was fun to investigate because of the different things that were there. But yeah, those are my main 3 places I think I would love to get back. If I ever had the opportunity to investigate, obviously it would be Alcatraz. Alcatraz is one of the places on my bucket list.
Yeah, I've been there.
Have you?
Yeah, a long time ago. But it wasn't a private. It was I was there on tour and I just did my own thing.
Yeah.
And it was crazy. I have more physical. I heard things. I didn't catch nothing on film or anything. Matter of fact, that was in '86. So,
oh wow,
yeah, I went in there. The camera I had. Remember, we didn't have cell phones back then. I didn't. At least I didn't. The camera I took pictures with, the films came out. All the pictures on the outside from the beginning to the end came out. Everything inside did not come out. It was like totally blank. It was like weird. Yeah. I got smells. I heard men screaming from the upper floors, and nobody else is hearing it. Back in in '86, nobody listened. You know, it's like if you heard something, you were crazy. So you didn't say nothing. I'm like, oh shit. At the time I was there with my ex-wife, and she knew my abilities because she seen me, do things and say things that I should have known. But it's like I'm just walking around. I heard screaming. I heard moaning. I heard all different things, and I felt something grab my arm. I heard keys rattling and stuff. And at the time in '86, I just reopened Alcatraz for tours, so not everybody was there. So all we had was us, the group that was all walking ahead of me because I stayed back to do my little thing, and the tour guide. And that was it. That was the only people on the island. So like nobody there to make all that noise. So it was crazy, But yeah, I would love to go back there and do an investigation.
Yeah, I have a place. I have a place near me. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's Pea Patch Island, which is Fort Delaware. That's literally like 5-10 minutes away from my house.
Mm-hmm.
So the actual fort Fort Delaware sits in the middle of the Delaware River, and then on the Jersey side, you have what they call Fort Mott. Fort Mott is actually the fort that was kind of correspondence with Fort Delaware.
Mm-hmm.
So that place, every time I see Fort Delaware, it reminds me of Alcatraz. Just the way it's set up, the way it's out in the middle of nowhere in the river, which is cool. But this place is pretty haunted too. So if you ever get a chance to investigate, I think they do like something for Halloween every year. It's definitely a neat place to go to.
It's we get some investigations. Now I know you're back into all this. You start inviting each other and stuff again.
Yeah, let me know. I'm definitely out and about. So I'll let you know next time I go back to the tattoo shop if you want to go.
Definitely. I've been trying to get them on email. I want on the Facebook account, the message, and they never getting back to me on that. And I'd like to get set up an investigation with bring a group of people down with us, and check it out because I've been hearing so much about it. Plus, I like tattoos; they can see, So
yeah, of course.
So that'd be cool to go to.
Yeah, it's definitely a neat spot. I'd say probably like a total of like maybe to actually get a good investigation going, like at least no more than 5. You'll get because I mean you kind of like split between the levels too, like so. I don't know. I always like smaller groups. It's nice and quiet. You get more stuff, I think.
Oh, the small groups. So when we do investigation, you go like a group of 10. Get there with 10. You go off with 3 people. I always like 3 people, at least 2 minimum, but 3 because of course I like to videotape too, and then you need 2 people to do a little investigation and whatnot. But and you always find out that you get more information when you got smaller groups. You get a lot more evidence. I don't know if it's because the spirits feel intimidated with a big group of people, but with a smaller group, I always seem to get better evidence with that.
And it's less movement, less noise, less things you got to worry about too.
Contamination. You can actually control your environment that way. You have total control. It's just you. That's it. There's nobody giggling in the background or whispering or stomach growling. Well, of course, my stomach always growls, but it's always hungry. My stomach.
I think that's everybody thing. As soon as you go start an investigation, no matter if you eat or not, your stomach is going to growl. Like at the time you're doing an EVP session. In addition to that, you're in the middle of EVP sessions, stomachs are going off.
You ever notice that? It's like you're getting EVP. It's like, what is that? What is that? I hear. Is that a growl? Is that a dog? No, it's my stomach. How many times you got to go though? Okay, that was me. My stomach growling. Mark.
Yeah, tagging every time.
Remember when we did York and we were in that what do you call it? Because
Speakeasy?
we did Speakeasy, then we did the doctor's office, then we did the real estate. We did the 3 things that night.
Yes.
And we in the real estate place. That's where we crashed. It's like wherever we found a piece of floor, you just fell asleep there.
I was sleeping under a desk.
Yeah. Yeah. You were under the desk on the other side of the thing. We could still hear you.
Yeah. Those of you guys that don't know, I snore pretty loud.
Yeah. Oh, boy. But we went to Shenley that time. Matter of fact, Haiti was not on not too long ago when we spoke about that. And we were like, we're at the Shenley that time. And you were in the room, I think, with Mikey at that time. And we were across the hall in Sal's old apartment. It was me, Flip, Ron Lourdes, my brother Gerard. And we're all in there. All of a sudden, what the hell's that noise? And we're in a separate part, and we're hearing it. Holy shit, we actually go in the hallway to go see this. It was coming out of your room. You was like, holy
I was passed out.
Yeah, that was like, everybody was like, we thought it was something, going on spiritually, but no, it's coming out of you spiritually.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's like a whole demon popping out.
Everybody's saying, hey, Chris, we talk about you. It's like, yeah. Oh man, he snores. Everybody's like, oh man, yeah, I guess that's your thing, man.
Yeah. Listen, I am the what they call the sleeping beauty as soon as I wake up. Everybody will know me by the end of the night.
So you ever do Trans-Allegheny in West Virginia?
I have not, no.
If you go to West Virginia, you got to do that.
Yeah.
West Virginia Penitentiary is awesome, but Trans-Allegheny, 100%. That out of all the places I've been to, I still say that's the top of my really haunted list. That is really a lot of activity, man. Trans-Allegheny. I mean, there are other stuff I like. Shanley, I know I got all this activity to Shanley, Hinsdale, and stuff like that. Penhurst, but Trans-Allegheny is like, wow.
See, I've done the Hinsdale once, and this actually it was right at the end of last year. Mm-hmm. I didn't get anything at all, other than the accident on my way there. But other than that, I didn't get anything while I was there. Come to find out, though, which was pretty weird, and I didn't know. I guess one of the owner's son had passed away in an accident, and the way that the accident was explained to me was the same exact way my accident happened on my way there, which I had no clue or didn't even know anything about it until I got there.
Oh wow!
But yeah,
so
you gotta bring cannoli so your stomach is happy. That's funny. Definitely did.
That's they call me. Oh, you Mr. Fuhgeddaboudit, but I go on investigations a couple of times, and I brought cannolis. So we have, you need a snack in the middle of the night to sugar up a little bit, Have some coffee and some cannolis. So that's a big thing now with me with cannolis. They go on investigations. They bring Todd and Camilla in the audience now. They bring me cannolis and Jenny, she brings me pins. It says, what do you call it? It says, how you doing? How you doing? And people buy me Forget Me About shirts. So it's like, it's pretty cool, But I'm known to bring food and cannolis and stuff like that to locations to eat. You got to eat. Hey,
you have to.
Yeah, the spirits drain you, so you got to refuel.
Yeah. So it's funny. When we were at the Crescent Sanatorium, I was on TikTok Live, and one of the owners from the pizza place I was there apparently was watching the live on TikTok and sent us 3 pie boxes, like large pies, right to the Crescent. He delivered it himself. It was the coolest thing ever. I was like, oh, that's awesome.
That is awesome.
He showed up. We gave him a little walk through the place, and he was a great guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, what do you think?
I'm sorry.
Okay, no, talk.
How much can you tell us about Darkness in Suburbia? I mean, it's been out for a bit, right?
Yeah. So Darkness in Suburbia is it's a place where I actually grew up. I grew up in the older residence. I was there. The actual location is Seabrook, New Jersey, so it's obviously down south here. And it was used at one time as what we call an internment camp, but it really wasn't an internment camp of the Japanese American during the war. They were brought there. It was more of a higher up camp at the time, because at the time they really didn't think anybody that wasn't an American was brought there. Not just Japanese Americans. It was obviously, Puerto Ricans, Italians. Everybody was brought to this area.
And you never hear about that in schools.
No, you don't, which is interesting because, we definitely had camps all around the U.S. At the time when we went there, there's a whole new development that was just built in 2020. That new development has been having nothing but paranormal activity. Almost every single house there. Every house there, for whatever reason, has this common denominator with just fire. To include the fire aspect, right before we shot the documentary, I was told about a person that was having an issue there in one of the houses. And through a friend of a friend, they reached out and wanted me to actually go there and investigate her house. I had Sean come there with me and a couple of people that I knew from when I first started investigating, doing paranormal stuff. Had them come out with me, and we started investigating. And the moral of the story, we had a lot of activity. Nothing was nice. It was a lot of evil stuff. And I wouldn't say evil stuff as in like demonic. I would just say like a more like lower vibration spirits, like pissed off spirit that, basically were upset with this new development being built there. One of the things that I won't forget is we're sitting there. Sean basically warned the lady whose house we were investigating. He told her basically, hey, like whoever sleeps in this room, make sure you pay attention to it. I'm feeling like an oppressive energy here, and basically just had her keep an eye on whoever was sleeping in that room at the time. Probably a couple of days after we investigated there, the person that was sleeping in that room tried to take their own life, and because of what Sean actually told her, she was able to actually like catch it in time and take the person to the hospital, and they're still here to this day. While we were investigating the first floor of her property, which is like a two-story house, we kept getting fire left coming through a spirit box, like just nonstop. And at the time, we didn't know this whole fire aspect of the whole complex and the whole property. Another maybe like 3 to 5 days after we were doing the investigation, the house to the left, which is catty corner to her house, the guy ended up setting the house on fire and stated that the voices in his head made him do it. So from there, we kind of caught more interest and more people started reaching out. And that's when we went there and shot a documentary. It's a 7-part documentary. So it's a seven-part series, and there's a total of 4 different houses that we investigated. Had a lot of cool people there. Shane Pittman was there. Josh Purvis. What's his name? The director from the Terrifier. What was his name? I forget his name. But he was there. So it was a fun time. It was I wouldn't say a fun time, but it was definitely interesting investigation because of everything that was happening and how close these activities were to each other. Yeah. It was almost all the same exact thing, jumping from house to house and going to different places.
So there were 7 houses?
4 houses altogether.
4?
4 houses altogether, 7 episodes completely. Wow. We were there for about like 4 nights, 4 or 5 nights.
Were there more of them that you just
don't... So the thing in that area, a lot of people came forward. A lot of these houses are literally experiencing activity. Some of the people that are living in these properties are just sort of like, we're just going to ignore it. We're not going to pay attention to it. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the people that have actually bought these new properties, which, like I said, they were just built in 2020, are more of that old school, like taboo, like we don't talk about it, like there's stuff going on, but we're not going to say anything. Once the documentary started coming out, that's when more people started reaching out to us and telling us their story. One of the stories you'll see in the documentary was actually a guy who was excited because he was buying his first house. while the house is being built, him and his wife actually were driving around the neighborhood to see the progress on the house. And while they're driving around the neighborhood, they see fire inside the house. So they thought their brand new house is being built, is on fire. So they called the fire department. They called everybody to come out. They go in the house. There's absolutely nothing. There's no fire. There's nothing going on in the house. Like, they don't know what they saw, but to them, they believe that the house was on fire. Which, like I said, I mean, the whole fire aspect, it plays through the entire documentary. We get so many different EVPs telling us to burn it down. They're going to burn it down. So it's still more that we have to investigate because we still haven't gone down to the bottom of it. And I see maybe some future houses coming up here soon to actually do investigation. But as far as the activity goes, it's been so much that some of these people that have bought these houses in 2020 have already sold them because they can't live there.
Wow.
But yeah, it's definitely.
Is this like a development, or is this just like, is it closed off like a development?
Yeah, so it's a housing development, and it sits right on the same property as the old school internment camp houses. We'll call them that. So those houses the original houses were knocked down and they created an apartment complex. And right next to the apartment complex is where this new housing development sits.
Wow.
That's really super interesting.
Just came on. It says Facebook user, but that's Giuseppe. Remember Joe from Shanley? When
yes.
Yeah, he's saying hello. He says he's on a Facebook user.
What's going on?
Yeah.
What's going on, Giuseppe? I haven't seen you in a while. I haven't talked to you. I did see him. I seen him at the Gettysburg Bash when I stopped by for. Yeah, I stopped by for like maybe a couple hours on my way to. We were going to the hotel up in PA with the big Ouija board on top of it. See, the series my favorite so far.
Yeah, Haiti's on.
Yeah, what's going on, Haiti?
Hi, Haiti.
Yeah, if you guys get a chance, watch that. That's just, like I said, it's a 7-part documentary, and it's definitely interesting, especially being a part of something, which is where I grew up. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. Yeah, you have something in the area that you grew up, and you can actually videotape and a whole documentary.
Yeah, I'll tell you a cool story about when we were filming for that documentary for Darkness in Suburbia. I was doing some drone work and flying my drone throughout the entire property. Mm-hmm. When you guys watch the drone footage and everything on that for that documentary, you can tell there's absolutely no poles. All the wiring for the development are underground. The electric wires, everything is all underground. There's absolutely no poles other than the streetlight poles that are there, but they're rare. They're not all over through the entire property. Flying my drone maybe like about 100 feet up in the air. Start flying it back. I got the drone shots that I needed. I'm flying it back to my truck. And till this day, I still can't explain it. It hit something invisible in the sky. There was absolutely nothing there. There's no birds. There's nothing. Hit something invisible in the sky and just started spinning out of control and crashed like right next to the truck. There was no pole. There was nothing there. Like till this day, I still think about it. And the sad part, I had stopped recording before, like as I was flying it back, because I didn't want all that footage of the drone flying back. Mm-hmm. And I just wish I would have had a camera, because it was, I can't explain it. It's like it legitimately hit something that wasn't there that you couldn't see with your own naked eye.
And that happened after you shot the video, so maybe that's significance. Maybe they shut whatever happened, you hit, and there was no video of it, so that's when it appeared, when it wasn't being recorded. Yeah,
it was interesting. But till this day, like I still think about that. Like, I mean, on top of that, I crashed the drone, broke the drone. But other than that, I mean, it was awesome to just experience that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, drone footage usually is pretty good when you go over locations and stuff like that. Yeah. And it'd be great if you get a drone that see in the dark and go drive around locations. And
Yeah, I think
they may have one day, or maybe they do have one now.
No, they have them now. You're just going to be spending about $5,000 to $6,000 for an entry level one, and then an additional 20 to 30 to buy an actual real good one with the actual FLIR camera on.
Yeah,
but they're out there. You got to have the right money to buy it, you know.
yeah,
Which
yeah.
I don't have.
Well, none of us do.
Yeah.
You know, there's any? We're having a few. What topic was discussed?
The demon.
They stopped away from the shoe. Let's go back.
The Demon Castle. We haven't discussed the Demon Castle.
The Demon Castle. Yeah.
Demon Castle was also another interesting one. It was a castle that was built in Auburn, New York. Sean actually had somebody reached out to him to actually come check the place out. They went to check the place out. And while they were there, they learned that there was some sort of ritual that was done in the castle itself, which had brought something evil into it. And he ended up doing, obviously, an exorcism of the property itself after the fact. I was there for one night, and the stuff that I experienced, I ended up leaving the next day because I had to come back to leave after that to go to Shanley to actually shoot for Shanley. But the whole castle in itself, like, it was some of the activity I experienced I've never experienced before, especially with the things it was referencing. It was referencing itself as a serpent. It kept coming through as a serpent. We caught some yellow eyes actually in the windows itself, like kind of staring back at us, while as Sean is like visually like in his third eye, or just seeing all of this stuff happen. At one point, you'll see in if you watch the documentary, you'll see in the documentary we're all in the basement, and out of nowhere, like right in the same area I was walking, there was a board with a piece of nail that appeared right where I was walking. Luckily, I just so happened to look down and I saw it, but I was literally set, like I was right in that same exact area. If it would have been there while I was there, I would have stepped on it.
Yeah.
I just so happened to just look down. I'm like, oh, like here it is, like perfectly placed on the ground with a piece of nail sticking up. That was right after Sean ended up seeing a pig in his third mind, or third eye, and Eric started smelling the smell of like urine coming through. This whole happened in a matter of seconds. So Sean sees the pig, Eric smells the urine, and all three of us hear a rattlesnake right behind us, as this thing's referring to itself as a serpent.
Oh
and the
God.
the rattlesnake noise was literally like right in the room with us, loud as it can be. Like it wasn't caught. I mean, it was caught obviously on video and the audio and everything else, but we heard that audibly while we were there, which it was one of those crazy things. Like it was just upset that he was going to do what he was going to do with the property, and it didn't want to be removed from there. But you have to watch it to really see the rest of all that. But it's definitely another cool documentary you guys should watch.
Yeah, well, I'm going to get on that and check a bunch of that stuff out anyway.
Yeah.
So definitely, So
where is the Demon Castle? I was reading that it's in upstate New York, but
Auburn.
Okay, and is it actually like a castle, like where it's going back centuries, or?
Yes. Yeah. So the whole history is like at the beginning of the documentary. The castle was actually built as a castle to mimic a castle from the UK and all that. But it's legitimately a castle. Let me see if I can find a picture and airdrop it and put it on the comments so that people can see it. I might have one here. Bear with me. I'll post it on there so everybody can get a reference of what the Demon Castle what we call the Demon Castle looks like in itself.
Did anyone actually get physically hurt while they were there?
There was definitely scratches. There was a couple things that happened there. Physically, I wouldn't say anything really physically happening other than like scratches. We did get different chanting coming through EVP, almost like they were chanting to some sort of god, which was still a little wild because, I mean, like I said, I've never experienced that before either. But physically while we were there, no. There were some people that were a little like sick and stuff like that, but I don't think it had anything to do with the actual documentary itself or the location.
Was it ever used for like a monastery or anything that they would have chanted or?
No. So what Sean ended up finding out and learning about the property, when the people actually bought this property and went into the property, there was a box with sigils on the actual box itself.
Okay.
And there was some sort of ritual that was done in front of this fireplace prior to them moving in. They have no idea who did it, obviously. But there were sigils and different things that were found on location that can actually correspond with the activity that was coming through. So whoever did whatever ritual was done there, that they were trying to do some sort of ritual with Odin. The sigils that were on the box were Odin symbols that were found. As I don't know, as many as you know, I didn't know this until we started working in this case. There's two different types of Odin. There's a good Odin, there's a bad Odin. And stuff that they were doing were pertaining to the bad Odin. Which,
so it wasn't just like a Norse pagan ritual. It was something darker.
Yes, much darker.
Okay.
Especially with the things that were coming through there. It was insane. Geez, I can't find pictures of it.
Todd and Carmela would like to know, what is your most memorable moment from an investigation? And no, it wasn't asked yet. We haven't gotten to our nitty-gritty questions yet.
Most memorable moment would have to be West Virginia State Penitentiary. There was a couple things that happened there. I'll go with the most memorable to me, which I'm kind of upset at myself that I didn't capture on camera, but Kelly Miller did. She definitely got it. Sean and I were investigating on the second floor where I don't know if you guys have been there, where the cells are at. We're on the second floor. Kelly Miller and her people were investigating further down the hall on the first floor. Sean and I kept getting a female coming through. I asked legitimately for whatever's there, the female that was there, to scream out of the top of her lungs. Those specific words, scream out of the top of your lungs. That way we know that way we know it's you and we know that you're here. And within like seconds of asking that, Kelly Miller comes down from the other end asking us, "Hey, was that you guys?" We're like, "No, what are you talking about?" She said, "I just heard a female scream out of the top of her lung." She couldn't hear us. She couldn't hear us asking a question. She couldn't hear the spirit box playing in the background. She couldn't hear any of that. For her to come down and ask that same exact question after I just said, "Scream at the top of your lungs, that way we can hear you," was interesting in itself. So I start walking towards Kelly on the second floor. She starts walking towards me on the first floor. We're walking to kind of like meet each other so I can tell her the story. As I'm telling her the story, there's a guard shack that's completely like, it's where all the control rooms are at, where they hit the buttons to open the cell doors, close the cell doors. While we're sitting there talking, we hear like movement, like shuffling going on, like coming from this guard shack. So we both like immediately like turn to see the guard shack, and we watch this guard silhouette with a flashlight in his hand. The flashlight was literally lit. You can see the light in the flashlight. Walked out of the guard shack, did about an about face. I don't know if you guys are familiar with an about face, like a quick turn, and then walked back into the guard shack and the light disappeared. It all disappeared in front of our eyes. I have the camera. I have it on my side, facing the ground because I'm just at all like looking at this thing, walking out and walking back in. Kelly Miller's downstairs and she had her phone out. She actually caught in her video. You can actually see the light moving and then coming back. Well, we were actually able to see what looked like to be a guard actually walk out and walk back into the shack, which was cool. So that was the first experience there. The second experience made me run. I ran and left people behind. It was Sean, Melissa Keller, and myself, and there was a couple other people there. We're walking towards the cafeteria section, and we hear, I think it was me, Melissa, and somebody else ended up starting to hear like these very, very faint whispers. As we're walking to the cafeteria section, it comes to like a Y split. Sean and all them kept walking towards the cafeteria. Melissa and I kept following the voices we were hearing, the slow, like very low whispers. So we split off. We started going towards the whispers. We get to a certain area where like the floor actually dips. This is all I remember because I couldn't really see it because it was dark, and I had my camera in my hand, which is the little screen I was looking at was basically how we were getting around. So I remember getting into like this little dip on the floor, and the voices stop. Everything just stops. It just goes to completely like just quiet. So we're sitting there. Now we're sitting in front of a door, which is like a cell door, which is in the infirmary section of the prison. Next thing you know, I hear right in my ear somebody whispering, like a very low, like, "Hey," right on my ear. I felt the actual breath coming off of it, followed by this massive metal on metal clashing noise. Almost like somebody's like slamming the cell door closed. As soon as that happened, it was fight or flight, and I flew. Like, I left. I pushed Melissa out of the way. I was gone. I ran. As soon as I got outside, I'm like, "Oh crap! I left Melissa behind. Now I got to do a walk of shame and go get her." Yeah, needless to say, I was getting cussed out by the time I got back there. But that was definitely one of the most memorable experiences I've had in a while.
Yeah.
So don't go investigating with you. You're going to be pushed downstairs, shoved down hallways.
So yeah, I'm
Listen,
out of here.
That was like the second time I've ever done something like that. The first time wasn't like running. The first time was just like speed walking. This one here was definitely running, especially when that metal door clashed down. Yeah, I was done. I was out.
That's too funny.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I don't have any pictures on this phone. I was trying to find the pictures of that castle.
Jenny sent me one, but I'm so bad at this. I'm like trying to start to use these things.
Let me see.
So
that's not it.
Yeah, I don't. Thought I had some here, but I don't.
yeah, they said Bobby could help. Well, you gotta get the pictures first for anybody to help.
I'll send it to him. Oh wait, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm terrible. I really have to learn how to do this.
So, what have you been up to? You know, besides all this, it's like, you know, anything new with the, you know, I know you said you did the tattoo place and stuff like that. Anything coming up with all that stuff, or?
Yeah, so right now I'm actually working on. I guess I'm putting a video together for the Clifton 5 Theater up in. I don't know if you guys ever investigated. It's a cool theater, old school theater, in Huntington, PA.
Yeah.
Scotty, myself, Sean, and a couple other people actually went there to do the investigation overnight. We were there for 2 nights, and that video I'm actually working on right now, and I'm putting that together, and that's actually going to be what's going to premiere prior to going back on YouTube. It's going to premiere at the movie theater, and whoever wants to come out and watch it are going to be able to come there and actually watch the video on the movie screen.
Yeah.
So it'll be the actual investigation of the actual place, all in the same night.
Great.
It'll be an investigation afterwards too, which would be.
You got to send
cool.
me a link. I may stop by.
Yeah, definitely. I'll send you.
Where's in PA?
It's Huntington, so it's 4 hours from me. I have
like
actually
northwestish, if I'm right.
It's by State College. So if you're familiar with State College, yeah. So it's literally like maybe 10, 15 minutes from there. Yeah, I don't have a picture of it, which I'm sure I sent it to
Bobby. Bobby, if you can help us, will you? I'm gonna have to get a class on this.
That's great.
I'm terrible. I'm telling you.
Yeah, Maureen, how far is that from us up there?
Let me look.
You know what? I did find a picture. Boom. Just not a great picture, but it's a picture. Let me forward this.
Bobby, I sent you the pic. I just don't. I'm sorry. Here it comes.
Something just came on. I see Bobby.
Hi, everybody. Stand by.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Oh, I need to get the photo first. There we go. Okay, there we go. All right. And I need to do this,
There we go.
this, uploading. And here you go.
Thank you.
Ah, there
Thank
it
you,
is. Awesome.
Bobby.
Thank you, Bob.
The top of it
So
looks like a castle, but the rest of it looks like a Victorian house.
Yes, so this is like sort of the back entrance. The actual main entrance is from the other side.
Oh, okay.
So let me see. I might have the other picture.
It's really pretty, though.
It is, and the interior is very, very old school. I mean, it's kind of torn down now, but they're getting ready to actually rebuild the place soon.
The spot that like gives me the okay, there's a something there is the bottom floor, the back window on the bottom right.
Okay.
Do you know what's there?
Bottom right.
Bottom right back window, like not where that little pavilion type thing is, like all the way over.
All the way to the right. So yeah, that area is actually where the you're talking about the little area that actually pops out, like has
No,
little,
on the left of the building.
Oh, left of the building. That's the actual entrance to the basement. All the way to the
That
left.
would make sense.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah. So I think the previous, I believe one of the previous owner was actually passed away on those steps. Fell down the steps and was found to be deceased I think it was a couple days later, or some along those lines.
Yeah, it's giving me like that butterfly. That when I feel like there's something around me, I get that butterfly feeling right around, like right below my heart.
Yeah, and that's actually where we got the like in that basement is where we caught like the obviously Sean seen the pig, the
okay.
the urine smell, and then that's where the rattlesnake noise came from. But it was on the other side of the building. But it was obviously that's the access way into the basement.
How close is to your next neighbors? Is that on a corner of a street, or is it like
How close?
How's it close to the neighbors?
It doesn't have neighbors. The other building next to it is actually a part of the actual castle itself, which also has activity. So that's where they used to keep. It's almost like a little garage sort of thing. And then across the street from there, you have like a gas station, and then some apartment complex. So across the street is the closest neighbor I think that they would have. Nothing to the left of that.
And was all that same was where the gas station is now and the apartment building, was that all part of the property of these people?
That I don't know. I don't know if it was, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I know that the back of it actually leads to a lake. So there's another like on the back section where Maureen was actually feeling by the basement. There's a little road that actually leads to the back of that and splits. It actually goes into the woods and then back into like a small little lake pond. I believe that was sort of part of that property as well.
That would make more sense because they're actually spirits are drawn to water or shale or coal or those types of things.
Yeah.
And the owners of this building, what were they when they first built this? What did they do? Were they barons or what were they?
I don't know. Like I said, I don't really like knowing
the history.
The
history of the ghost.
Correct.
Yeah.
Not even the history of the ghost. I just like going there and actually learning about it. So Billy actually did the whole history look up for it and got basically all the background information for the property itself. So it is that information is right at the beginning of the documentary. So as soon as you start watching the documentary, all that information.
Well, just say what the documentary is again, so everybody in the audience can hear it again. Well,
so it's called
property later on. Yeah,
it's called the Demon Castle. So the Demon Castle is obviously based on what we actually encountered while we were there. And like I said, I was only there for one day. Sean and Eric were there for multiple nights. including the exorcism right after.
You can see this on Scare Network.
Yes, scarenetwork.tv. You can download it on Fire Stick, Apple TV, Apple. He's still working on the Android app, Android TV, and Roku. So you can just look up on your app stores, scarenetwork.tv, and it'll pop right up.
Thank you, Bobby.
Thank you, Bobby. I appreciate that. It is free. It's a free app you can download. It's also free to watch, unless if you want to watch everything all at once, then you can pay the monthly fee to watch it. But other than that, it is free to watch as it comes out. So if it's more than one episode, it'll come out once a week.
Well, I downloaded on my computer last night or the day before, something like that. After I was looking out, the different things you were in, and I'm like, and plus, I want to definitely see the Shanley one. So, I downloaded it on my computer. I'm like, oh, this is pretty good stuff on here. It's like all these documentaries on the stuff that I would be interested in,
Yeah. It is it's well put together too. Like Billy and Sean do a great job with that. I've helped out with the first documentary we did in New Jersey, and Darkness in Suburbia, and obviously the other ones I've helped out with as well. But it's definitely a nice thing to do, and a nice way to actually put it together to be able to give that story a life, basically. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's very interesting. So I'd like to check out that castle sometime. Maybe we'll get out there. So,
that castle's definitely an interesting spot.
Thank you, Jenny. Jenny put up the trailer for the Demon Castle.
Oh, it's awesome.
As a matter of fact, Jenny's when one of us can't come, she's going to be stepping in for us soon. So Jenny's going to be part of the show.
That's awesome. Let's see. I'll find the one for the Shanley also.
But I mean, this is interesting that you got into all this. I mean, I met you. We were just investigating back and forth with our cameras, and we both do the videos. So.
Yeah. Then I started the podcast. We had the podcast there for a while. The podcast was actually doing pretty good when we had it.
Yeah, I used to watch it all the time.
Yeah. Let me see. Scare Network. So for those of you guys that actually want to watch the trailers for Scare Network or anything that's recently coming out, they do have a Facebook page, so you can go on Facebook for scarenetwork.tv, and the trailers, pictures, behind the scene pictures and stuff like that would be posted on there by Billy and Sean as well.
I mean, I never worked with I worked with Sean, but never Billy.
Yeah, Billy's mainly like the producer. Like he came in on it with an open mind, and like I said, he's been doing a great job so far with that.
Yeah. How do you find these places? Do people come up to you, or he does research on them, and then that's it? You do it.
So a lot of the stuff that we've done have actually been by people coming up to us, and especially with the Seabrook case. That was a case that was brought up to me because of knowing the people that were in that area at the time. I guess my comment failed to post. I tried posting the link, but I guess it didn't go through. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, people reach out to me. The tattoo shop just so happened I was going to do another investigation that fell through, and I reached out to her with 20 minutes. She reached back out, and we were in there 2 days later. So definitely worked out, and it was a cool spot to investigate also, especially with the amount of evidence that we came out with it. I don't know if you noticed, we were at Waverly Hill Sanatorium last year as well, and we got a nice shadow figure of a little boy coming out off the wall, looking at us, and then going back into the wall. I don't know if you've seen that. That's on Chris Hammy's TikTok page. I helped him actually change the colors and brighten the video up a little more so you can see it more clear.
See it. That's wild when that happens, man. That's some of the best. information, the best evidence that you could get, something peeking out like that.
Oh yeah, it's so clear too, man. Like it's not even like you don't even have to like guess to try to figure out what it is. Like it's just there.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. It's not letting me upload anything onto here.
Yeah.
I wonder if I can share my screen. Let me see if I can do that.
I don't know if you can do it as a guest.
Let me see. Present. Oh,
Yeah.
it's coming up now. Let's see. All right, there it is. Let's see if I can do a present. Slide video file. Boom. I guess it's not letting me do that as well.
Yeah, as a
Share
guest, I don't
screen.
know if you can do it. Can you? I don't think so.
It's letting me share the screen, so let me do open settings.
You might get feedback then. No?
I got the headphones in, so I don't think the feedback will come through. Select a tab to share. Should be this. Entire screen, no, window, Chrome, entire screen. I will share that. If it comes up. All right, can you guys see my screen or no?
No.
Mm-mm.
No.
I don't know if you can do with that as a guest.
Yeah, I mean it's giving me the option. I'm clicking on the screen, but it's not for whatever reason coming up. Chrome has lost permission to capture screen. Fix it. System preference unlock. Yeah, I guess not. All right. I was going to show you guys the actual video of the actual shadow figure that Chris Hammond caught while we were there investigating together.
Yeah, well, if we knew about it, we would have tried to send it to us before, and then we could have brought it up. Yeah.
But yeah, so maybe next time. I mean, it's on the TikTok page. If you guys want to watch it, it'll be there.
You said you've been doing local places, like you get back to your roots and stuff like that. What have you been doing? Just like, going out and just hanging out and doing your own thing, or you with a group, or?
No, I've just been doing my own thing. Wherever I get invited to, I go. I investigate, obviously, with whoever invites me, for the most part. And I mean, I'm going to the Shanley, obviously. White Hill Mansion I just did recently. We went back over to PA. We were still in the PA. Was a couple months back. And then from there, I mean, I just been all over really.
Yeah, like the rest of us. Whatever pops up, we start doing. We try to get some other investigations in, and so not everybody gets back to you when you send out that you want to go somewhere, and it's always a challenge to get into locations sometimes.
Especially new ones. Like new locations are always harder to get into than anything else.
Yeah, I know the ones in the city here are really hard. It's like you have to have a TV show to get in half of them.
Yeah,
belong to a huge group or whatever, So that's why I go a lot of Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and I go out of state.
Yeah,
a lot of things. Other place, West Virginia, Maine, not Maine, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island and stuff like that. Have you been to the Conjuring House yet?
I have not. No, I haven't gone to Conjuring.
Okay.
Like I said, I went to Hinsdale Wildwood Sanatorium right towards the end of last year. That was my second time going to Wildwood. First time going to Hinsdale, and I didn't really get anything there. Had like some small like backwards box communication, but other than that, nothing really crazy.
Yeah.
How has it been when you go in there?
We get stuff. I always get something. I've been doing this new thing. Well, it's not a new thing. I've been doing it for years, but I'm just starting to present it. It's spirit art, and what I see, I draw now. Not only just I try to get on evidence. If I don't get an evidence, I just draw it. And so I mean, in Hinsdale, I got a thing on the stairs. I mean, everywhere I go somewhere, there's something around.
Yeah.
I mean, not every place is haunted, but I mean, to have activity doesn't mean place is haunted. Also,
Yeah. See, like when we investigated Waverly, we really didn't have much activity like while we were investigating. Like there was literally nothing that we were feeling. Like I wasn't feeling anything. I wasn't seeing anything.
mm-hmm.
It wasn't until after we started reviewing the evidence that we started
How many
going back
times
and
that
seeing.
happens?
Yeah, we started seeing all these like shadow figures, different EVPs coming through,
Mm-hmm.
different stuff happening. I'm like, man, like I just wish I would have known that right then and there. That way we could have interacted a little better while I was there.
I mean, doesn't it happen? You know, every time you go somewhere, and sometimes like I got nothing, and then you go back and you listen to audio or you see on video, and like, wait, oh, wow, we did get a lot. As we were there, we thought when we left, it's like, it was okay, and then you get a lot of stuff, wow, on reviews and everything, you know. So
yeah, definitely. It's always a surprise to get something after the fact instead of 1 year there, but it's always fun.
Goofy said, did the guard light come out of the shack? Or wait, did the guard or light coming out of the shack die there, or just work there? And how did it come to be there?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It basically just happened. It was the only time we ever saw it. We didn't see it again. We tried to interact while I was there. It was not whatever the guard light or the guard shack, the guard that we saw. It didn't want to communicate for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
We were able to see it, but it didn't want to communicate. We
could
definitely
be
got
visual.
Yeah, that too.
Visual. I mean, because it doesn't mean there's a spirit in their location. That means he died there. You know, that's not true. If you got residual where one person's in a location and they constantly make a movement back and forth, it's going to repeat in time. It's just going to keep on going. And that residual does not respond to anything we put out there. So
right.
When it's residual, so you know.
And it plays back on a loop. And
yeah.
Like with the residual, it just plays on a loop. It just happens at a certain time every day. Like it's just reliving its life and its time that it was what it was doing at the time it was there. It's just reliving that moment every day.
Mm-hmm.
So
because everybody got the misconception of that if you got a spirit in a location, somebody died there. That's not necessary. Yeah. You know.
No, not at all. I mean, picture a good explanation for that would be, let's say you bought a house, you live in that house, you care for that house, you had a lot of passion for that house,
mm-hmm.
and then you end up passing away. A lot of times when people see shadow figures walking into walls, walking out of walls, walking into areas that aren't there currently, maybe the owner, which maybe has something to do with the owner or the person that actually cared for the house,
mm-hmm.
during that time frame, if you look up like the actual blueprints of the house, there might have been a door there. There might have been
mm-hmm.
something else maybe at that time frame while that person was still living.
Mm-hmm.
So that's I think a good explanation of the whole residual aspect of things. Is just basically really reliving that moment at that
mm-hmm.
point in time.
Yeah, because that's why you see a lot of people on staircase. What happens on the staircase? Everybody going up and down, up and down. That's the most used part of a building. You know, if you have a two-family or whatever. You know, so the residual going up and down, you know, doesn't mean somebody died on the staircase.
Yeah.
Oh, it will. Todd and Camilla. See, I said it right. No, it's not Chameleon tonight. I said her name. I called it Chameleon and won the show, so now I get teased about it. The other night we did a Masonic Lodge. Maureen was there in Bayonne.
Okay.
Matter of fact, we did with Patrick. Patrick had to go. It was his lodge.
Awesome.
And it was Ron Lourdes in there and Maureen, her husband, and Todd and Camilla. And I asked a question about the lodge, and I said, "What's the number of the lodge?" And we got EVP 99, and that was the number of the lodge 99. So that's where he wanted me to tell you. So it was like responding to questions. Also called me a nasty name, but.
And it's funny when they start using words that we use this day. Like,
yeah, I mean, like, what? I asked a question and called me. I'm not going to say it on the air because somebody will probably shut us down for saying a word because it's got to do with something, and somebody might get offended, type of word. Called me a nasty word, and of course, all night long they were, especially Maureen's husband Todd. teased me about it a lot. He was calling me. What was he? He was calling me some name, but yeah. So it was a good night. We had a good night. Patrick was there, and he wasn't sleeping. Patrick was up the
That's
whole
good.
time. The whole
Did
time.
he bring pizza?
No, he didn't bring pizza this time. No.
No, we ate before we went.
Yeah, we went
That's
to
not
that
like
place.
him, though.
What's the name of that place we went to? It's a haunted also. It's what's the name of that place? And it's like
Hendrickson's.
Hendrickson, and it's supposed to be a haunted. It's a bar. It's a bar now, and of course they got a restaurant there. It's really good food there. But it was old. It was an old jailhouse back in the
prison. It was
and they still got cells in the basement.
Huh.
So they also had their like their borough meetings in there. There was a dance hall and they had like neighborhood parties and things like that. It was a really cool place.
Yeah, there's a lot of history there. So
it sounds very interesting.
There too. So that's why we didn't bring the pizza.
We had a lot of fun and we had a lot of hits. And I would love to go back to that place because I have some unfinished business there.
Yeah. Those places always seem to be very interesting in itself, especially with the energy in itself that's in there. But,
so, I mean, it's, certain locations, you get certain, like residuals, or you get a haunting, you got with the spirits, as you know, when we go, everybody, we got the residuals, we have the ones that, actually communicate with us. There's different types of spirits out there. So,
right. Yeah, I mean, there's always different types of hauntings too. I mean, not everything is related to the house. It might be related to maybe an item you brought into the house recently. You know what I mean? That happened to me in my old place.
Happened.
Yeah, the property.
Or even down the street, or like in the next town over, and it's just trying to get you to understand what transpired because they want to get a message out.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what a lot of people don't realize. Once we start doing this, and the more we do this, we become a beacon to these things. Like our mind keeps opening up more and more. We start getting more onto that realm. Like, think about when you were like, we've always been trained as we're growing up that that's not real. That's the lie. That's fake. None of that stuff happens. Don't believe in that. So the more people tell us that as we're growing up, that part of our mind is actually closing out some of the things that are actually happening around us. But the more we start doing, the more we start looking for it, the more we start investigating it, the more our minds start opening up towards it again. And therefore, we become a beacon to whatever's there. That a lot of times, I mean, even if it, like Maureen said, if it happens down the road, now you're this beacon. I can talk to this person. They can hear us. They know what we're talking about. Like, we just go there and talk to them. It'll go there, start trying to communicate with you, even though you think is related to the house. It's not always necessarily related to the house. But also, if you open that realm, you got to know how to close it. And that's the other thing. A lot of people don't know how to close that side. They don't know how to just step away and just live your normal life. A lot of people get attracted to it. They get. It's almost like they're in it completely. Like they just that's all they think about. That's all they do. That's all they want to do. It's I call it the fatal attraction, but it's definitely something that you want to be cognizant of, especially when you start doing more investigations and dealing with the paranormal.
It's so funny that you use the term beacon because I've used that for so long. When people say, "Well, your house is on a property that no one has ever died on. It's like in a newer area where no one's ever lived here because it's not near a river. So it wouldn't have been like conducive for people who were settlers. There's nothing near a river. It's something that the house was built in the early 70s. No one's died here. There's nothing around." And I said, well, it's the case that I'm a psychic medium. So I'm actually a beacon. And I keep using that word. It's a beacon. Like they see that they're able to come to me and pass on a message, or at least give a message and try to talk to me to see how they're able to cross over, or, just say what they wanted to say all of these years. There's someone that they can connect to, that they are able to talk to. And I think that that's what was happening at the Masonic Lodge, because a message that Carmela and Todd and I were getting in the room that we were in, at least. This person really connected with me for a major reason. And I guess I should just talk about it because they're here and everybody can understand this. The words witches kept coming up, and we were all like, this is amazing. And I said, I keep getting this feeling and hearing that there was this very traumatic incident that happened here, and that there were women involved. And I feel like this was a huge incident, like a witch trial. So we started talking about it, and it was weird because Carmela was using a tablet, and it had Phasma box on it. And then Todd had been using something else, and I had a Pana box in my hand. And they had circled me with this, the rope with the lights on it. And I had a cat with me. I had dowsing rods. I mean, we had everything out. The EMF meter, what I was using, it was sitting in front of me, and I made a point to check everything to see if there was anything that would make it go off. It was on red the entire time. Anybody would bring their EMF detector over, it wouldn't do that at all, except for Carmela. Carmela's was the same way anytime she'd bring it over. And people were like, what is going on? And I said, I think Carmela and I have this weird connection, and that's what was happening. So they also had one of those bellhop ring, the button that ding, 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 ding. So she had that over next to her. So we decided that we were going to play a game show with the spirits. So it was so if you have, we started with who's the president now? Because we played this at another place, and it said Joseph Biden. And I go, oh my God, it said Joseph Biden. And it went ding. So then we tried something else. We'd ask another question, or I would say whatever mine said. She would say whatever the Phasma box would say, and it would go ding. It was kind of like it was responding back to whatever her comment back was to mine, and it was being really weird. So then we went around the room. We did an EVP session, and everyone asked a question. And after everything was done, Ron played it back. Ron Iacovetti, he played it back. And then at the end of the night, we did the Staticom. So when we did the EVP thing, it was not really clear because it was kind of loud in the room. And when I asked my question, I said, I really would like to know, was there a traumatic experience that happened in this area that was involving females? And was it possibly a witch trial? And it said, you're correct. But I had two questions in there. It didn't give me the details. So when it went back around the room again, I asked it a second time, and it went ding. So it's not even asking the question. We went back out with the Staticom, and before the end of the night, everybody got to question everything. And I still really wanted this answer because I'm not Wiccan, but I am a witch. And I really wanted to get this answer because I think it's important that anyone who died for what they believed in needs to be validated. So I said, is there something going on with witchcraft? And we kept hearing witches. So it was really funny because whomever was talking through this was speaking a lot of French, a lot of German. It kept changing its name. And then all of a sudden we hear Witchy. And I go by a little Witchy as my business. And I finally said, well, is it big Witchy or a little Witchy? And we heard a little Witchy, which was because we were saying, is she in this room? Can you point her out?
Foundationally, you're communicating with somebody.
Yeah. So I went home and I read about the area, and it said that there was a woman who was burned at the stake, which is not right for America. That's all been done in Europe. There was one woman. She was from Bridgewater, New Jersey. So not even a half an hour away from this place. And it's weird because I didn't get a chance to talk to anybody that was with us. We kept hearing the name Margaret, and her name was Margaret.
Oh, wow. See, it's things like this I like talking to other, investigators that actually are in the field and do this kind of stuff. But there's always that different way of investigating. Like the whole bell thing, I've never heard of that before. This is the first time I've heard of it. Which, I mean, in all honesty, I mean, it makes sense. Anything really can make sense, especially in this field.
Yeah.
But
it's one of those old bells that you see at the when you go to
like the hotel
bell. They got it connected onto like a sensor, and it's EMF. Instead of the lights coming on, the bell rings.
Yeah.
No, that's definitely cool. And like I said, I mean, in this is the one field where everybody thinks they have one up to the other person than to the next person. Everybody thinks they're better than the last person. No, nobody really knows what they're doing. We're all learning as we go. There's always a different way to investigate. And I say this in every podcast and anything that I go on. There's always a different way to investigate. Like that right there, it's interesting. I've never thought of that before. You mentioned it. Like, it makes sense. 100% makes sense. But everybody does something different. It seems to work for them. It doesn't mean that they're wrong. It doesn't mean that it's just whatever works for you, works for you. And I like learning. So like, I'm going to probably try using that and see if that, I mean, it works for one of my, I'll give you credit for it. But that just makes sense. And it's always, to me, it's always about learning. It's always about learning in this field and how you can become a better, I wouldn't say investigator, but how can you become better at actually learning from what's happening on the other side?
Right. We all do learn in it. That's the whole thing. And I don't care how experienced you are. There's always something coming out that you're going to learn from, And everybody learns. Look, I've been in a long time, and I'm always learning something new. And everybody's learning something new every time you go out.
Almost every investigation you go to, there's always that one new thing that you'll learn. I mean, whether it's camera related, whether it's equipment related, like whether it's investigating related, there's always that one thing that you actually always learn. I see there's a question from Todd here, which is caught my eye earlier as you were talking as well. Which his question for the audience here is, Chris, during the investigations, have you ever noticed during a Q&A sessions, you get responses before you finish asking? Yes. Also, I've noticed that prior to even getting to the location to do an investigation, I start getting responses and different things at the house before I even go there that have to do with the place you're going to, but you have no idea like what's at that location. You don't know anything that's related. I'll give you a really cool example here. It was myself and Paul Dixon. We're on our way to go investigate St. Albans Sanatorium in Virginia. He came to my house. He was riding with me, so I was getting the equipment out of my garage. We're throwing it in the truck. There's nobody else in the house whatsoever, just me and him. We hear what sounds like a Native American male running in the attic of the house, doing like a war noise, like the Native American noise, as loud as it can be, to the point where I grab my piece and I go up in the attic to try to figure out like who is up there. Like we literally just heard this. So we go up there. We look. I look in the attic section. You can't run the way we heard those running. You can't do that up there. Like you got to be ducked like to walk through. So I still went up there to check and nothing, which I kind of already knew it was going to be nothing. Because I mean, you're not going to have somebody breaking into your house making war noises like Native American war noises and running. So the entire ride up to Virginia was like a 6.5 hour ride. We were getting stuff in the car. We kept seeing like almost like a black shadow figure between the both of us in the back seat that kept kind of like peeking in between the both of us and like peeking back into the seat. We get there, and I don't know if you guys ever been to St. Albans. There's like a parking spot on the side. There's a parking spot in the back. If you get to go there, it's an awesome place. We were there for it was a 36-hour investigation, so we were sleeping there. So we went. I was driving, so I parked around the back for whatever reason. I just felt like I had to park back there. So I drive around the building. I parked back there, back of my truck into a spot. We didn't mention anything of this. We didn't tell anybody anything. We just went inside. We're talking to everybody else that was going to be there for the investigation. Actually, like one of the people that actually run the place. We were talking. They started talking about Destination Fear was there like a couple of days before we were there, and she starts telling us a story about the different things that they captured on EVP. One of the things that they captured was in the parking lot where we parked in the back, and it was Native Americans and actual military, actual soldiers fighting in the middle of war. And one of the sounds that they heard was actual that war sound
Oh my
of a
God.
Native American male making that noise.
Wow.
Prior to my old house, like when I lived at my old place, which was in, you never got to go there, Anthony, but I lived in the middle of the woods. I had 15 acres to the back of my property. Like, it was Native American land. So for whatever reason, like, I connected with whatever was there to the point where I was able to see something that I've never really told. There was only like a total of 6 people now that know. But ever since like my encounter there at that property, anything Native American related to any property or any investigation we go to, for whatever reason, starts coming through the day before, the day or the day of. And it was just interesting that I got that at my new house, which had to do with the location we were going to. And then from there on, like, it's just been more and more stuff that I noticed, like, that starts happening at the house prior, like Demon Castle per se. When I left the castle, came back to my house. Prior to getting to my house, all the drawers apparently opened by themselves. I wasn't here; Kelly was here. Some of the drawers actually popped open by themselves, and that never happens here. They're soft closed doors; you can't open them. You know what I mean? You close them, it just automatically closes. So some of that stuff was kind of relevant to what was also happening at the castle as well. So, but yeah, I mean, that was a good question. That definitely happens a lot more often than what you would think.
Yeah, but before you ask a question, already the answer's coming out, or you say a question, it's just like right there before you say it sometimes. Well, they asking the question as you're asking the question, and they're asking it. So it's interesting. Do they read your mind and stuff? So that's interesting.
Well, you got to think about it too. Like, there's no time conception where these spirits are from. So one of the questions I've asked before, and I've gotten like different answers, is the possibility of actually being able. It all goes back. I'll point it this way. It all goes back to Albert Einstein theory, the unified field theory, which is also the same theory they used in the Philadelphia experiment, which is the time conception. You control space, you control time, you control time, you control space, which was one of Albert Einstein's biggest mystery till this day. A lot of people believe that he actually was able to find the actual ability to actually control the time, control the space, which a lot of us consider that time traveling this day. But it's there. It happens. I mean, we're living on it right now. Like, I mean, think about, the other end of the world. They're living on the day that we're currently living in today. But it's the same thing with the spirits. Like, they have no time conception. They can see, in my opinion, they can see through time. They can see the past. They can see the future. They can see the present. And there's always a different possibility for everything.
True.
But
it's very interesting, when it comes to spirits like that,
Yeah.
But yeah, with that time, and like I said, you say something, next thing you know, it's. Did you ever do a DNA test? Maybe you do have.
I did.
Did you have any Native American in you?
I was hoping I did. I have like a very small amount, not enough to even count.
Well, you do have some pinch, yeah.
But I do have like the Taino Indians, which is like obviously my homeland, Puerto Rico. So I have I think it came out to like 20% of that, which is native in its own self.
20%, but that's a native. You do have some sort of some sort.
Yes.
Native American, because my wife did the DNA and she found out that she has some. It says South American, indigenous people. It's
That's same thing. Yes.
Because part of her family, on her father's side, they're from Venezuela and Ecuador, so that's the Incas and all those.
I have Peruvian.
So there is a link to you with some sort of native blood in you.
Yeah. So like I'll tell you a quick story before we leave or whatever. After I had that experience in my old house with the whole Native American thing that I really don't talk about much, I've always had, on my way to an investigation, on my way to go anywhere where like it's of importance, like even work, when I go to work, I'll have at least one bald eagle appear on the way there, fly around the truck, and then leave. And if it's not a bald eagle, it's always a red-tailed hawk. So it's one or the other. And I was told that those are the two highest level of protection you can get in the Native American field, which is why like one of my tattoos is a bald eagle.
Very
wow.
cool.
Yeah.
That is
But
interesting.
that's something I don't really talk or tell anybody or really talk about it much.
So
But
there's nobody here. It's just between us.
yeah, no. But,
Yeah, forget the comments.
Just between us. Nobody's gonna know now. I won't tell nobody. Okay, that's how.
No, listen, I never told you the story of why that happens, but I'll tell you maybe one of these days. But it's definitely
Okay.
it's definitely interesting in itself to the point where to me it sounds crazy, but I experienced it. I was there, and based on what I do, I can't really talk about that kind of stuff too much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You do believe that we're in the paranormal and nothing sounds crazy anymore, right?
This is true.
Some secrets too. You gotta keep some secrets. I know I try not to, but some things you do keep to yourself.
Yeah.
You
There's some experiences like that are just too close to you to even share. Like I wouldn't even say too close. Just the ability of it happening in itself is just way too out of the norm to even talk about it. But
we got to get you to what do you call it? The Ritz Theater with Jenny and Parasite.
Oh, nice.
Paranormal. That's not too far from you.
No, it's not.
You're not. I mean, how close are you to Philly? They're not far from Philly.
I'm only like 20 minutes from Philly.
Yeah. So you're much closer to down there than me. And they always have a good show. They got good stuff going on there. And last year they had a paranormal. What was it called? The paranormal. We all got together, people in the paranormal. We talked about things. And the year before that, they had a VIP thing, and they had people come in, and it was interesting. It was a really good thing going on there, and they got activity there going on a lot too. It's a nice theater. It's the Ritz Theater.
Yeah, Jenny, we'll have to get together and talk about that. I mean, I'm definitely interested. I'm always open for new places too. So
it was really fun. We had a good time, and I learned a lot. I mean, obviously, you can learn so much more from lots of people. Like, look at the bell. You learned a lot about the bell. She said it's in Haddon Township, and please.
It's not far from you, sir.
Oh no, that's not far at all. Yeah.
Paris Summit. That's what we had. The Paris Summit.
So Jenny has our last question. She said, "Have you ever lived in a haunted location? And also, what's the best investigation that you've ever done outside, like at Gettysburg or a mine or the Pine Barrens?"
Okay, so yes, my old house was definitely haunted. I'll give you like a brief story of it's kind of the main reason why I started getting into the paranormal. I mean, I was always into it, but I was always almost like a non-believer in a way. My mind was always open to it, as in like there's the possibility that could happen, but it wasn't until I actually started experiencing some of my own stuff. My old house that we were talking about earlier, I was going through some personal life stuff. I ended up splitting up with the kid's mom. I was spending more time at the house without the kids, without anybody there. And during that time frame, like it just seemed that I kept experiencing more and more paranormal activity that I wasn't used to. One of them being I was watching TV one day and I hear clear as day a little girl come up and say, "Can I have some chips?" In my mind, I'm thinking my kids are here. Like, no, you can't have no chips. And I look over, I'm like, wait, my kids aren't here. There's nobody else here. Like, I literally just heard that. Like, it sounded like there was a kid here. So I couldn't explain that. So at that time, I started thinking, like, oh man, like I must be going crazy. There must be stuff like going wrong with me. Like, so the more and more the time went on, the more things I kept hearing. I started hearing footsteps going back and forth. At the time, I had going back into the different items that you can bring into your home. I had bought a World War II Marine Corps footlocker. We still had the soldier's name and actual number on there. My plan for that footlocker was to make it into a coffee table. And obviously, like it's still a footlocker, so you can open it. So when I would come from work, I'd take my vest off, my gun off, throw it in there, and lock it. So as I started doing that more and more, I put a lock on it. Obviously, I had a lock. It was locked. I would hear at nighttime somebody playing with the locks. My first thought was, my dog's playing with the locks. Like, I look down, my dog's laying right next to the bed. There's nobody out there. So I ended up reaching out to one of the people that who I ended up joining their group. That's how basically everything kind of kickstarted. Precision Paranormal, his name was Mike. I ended up joining Mike's group. And I asked him if he can do an investigation on my house. He came over to the house. This was prior to joining the group. We start controlling the environment. We set up outside on the shed. We set up like a command station where all the cameras were live fed into, and all the other two investigators that were there were waiting outside in the shed to actually control the environment, not give any outside noise or anything for that matter. So five recorders, there were Zoom recorders all around the house, and a couple static cameras all over. And within 20 minutes of doing an investigation, all the batteries on the cameras die. All the batteries on the recorder die. So we start changing the batteries from the living room and working our way over to each room. We get down to the hallway where my room's at, and he goes into the room to change the battery of that recorder. And as he's doing that, I hear clear as day a woman say hello. Very low, monotone, robotic voice. Sounded more like an older woman saying like hello. Like at this point, I'm freaking out. I'm like, Mike, did you hear that? He's like, no, I didn't hear that. I said, dude, like it's the classic like ghost hunters like cut to commercial moment. Like I'm freaking out. I'm like, I'm like, man, I definitely heard that, to the point where I actually go over to the living room. I take the SD card out, plug it into the computer, and listen to it. Clear as day, the recorder caught it. You hear the woman saying hello. At this point, I'm like, man, I'm really not going crazy. Like, this is a legitimate thing that's happening. Like, I can hear these things. Like, I'm hearing this. I'm hearing all this stuff happening. And from there, I just got kind of hooked and continued to investigate more and more. And that's kind of how I got started. That's how I came here. But yes, my house was haunted. Going back into the Foot Locker, I come to find out that the actual owner of the Foot Locker was upset that I had turned that into a coffee table, which is why the locks were being moved at night. The Foot Locker itself was being moved. So I restored it, put it back into place, and actually sitting out here in the studio where we're at right now. And has not come back into my new house. It's just staying outside, but it's restored. It's back to normal. Once I did that, everything stopped.
Wow.
But yeah, so I think that was part of the outside. Yep. Okay, the outside question. The outside. I did the what was it? The Pennsylvania Portage Railroad Tunnel. Actually, right at the same time I was doing the Crescent. So like the night before Crescent, I was already in the area, so I started looking places up, and I found this Pennsylvania. It's called Pennsylvania Portage Railroad Tunnel. Has a history of Native American on the land as well, and I decided to go there like late. It was probably like late in the evening, and I started walking there, not realizing it was a 45-minute walk into the woods to find this tunnel. So we get there, it starts getting dark. It's myself and Nancy. Nancy, another investigator here she's actually from Philadelphia. Nancy and I I was on TikTok Live. I was doing the live. I started going into the tunnel. I get up to a certain point in the tunnel. I start losing service on my phone, so I had to stay back towards the closer area where I can get service. So at this time, I'm on TikTok Live, and we start seeing this fog literally just coming out of the tunnel. I'm like, well, you know what? Like it's late in the evening. It's the sun's actually setting. So like the different change in temperature can cause that fog to come out.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't pay much attention to it, but this fog just started getting thicker and thicker to the point where we almost couldn't really see each other, like inside this fog, inside the tunnel.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, you know what? Let's use the fog to our advantage. So I pulled a flashlight out because at this point it's dark, and I start flashing the light onto the fog, like from fog from the top. And I started using the fog to investigate. So I said, if you're here with us, I said, can you show yourself? I want to see you. I want to see what you look like. Who are you?
Mm-hmm.
And everybody on the live actually saw this as I was seeing this, like live. We actually see like a full body of a person show up in the fog right in front of us.
Ooh.
And then it twirls and disappears. I was like, that is the coolest thing I've ever seen. I said, can you do that again? I said, can you show yourself again? Face comes right back out of fog and just like disappears. I'm like,
cool.
This is cool. Like, this is interesting. Like, I've never used the fog to actually investigate. I said, well, if this fog is you, I said, can you make the fog disappear? Can you make it go away? Within seconds of asking this question, all this fog starts going back into the tunnel and just disappears.
Was it like sucked
I'm like,
back?
Wow.
it was like vacuum back into the tunnel.
Nice.
That's not where it stops. So I'm like, so at this point, I'm still like, in my mind, I saw all this stuff, but I'm still like, kind of like mind deaf. You know what I mean? Like just trying to figure out like what just happened. Everybody on the live is actually taking screenshots and sending screenshots over of what they actually saw and what we were able to see in person. I asked for the fog to come back while we were doing the investigation. I said, now I'm curious. Now I want to see if this fog is really like controlled by whatever's here. So I asked for the fog to come back. You start hearing what sounds like footsteps of multiple people like at the end of the tunnel. And you start hearing it because it's echoing at this point. So it's like echoing towards you. And the fog just slowly starts rising back up again, coming back up to the point where it covered the whole tunnel again. And it was just, to this day, it was like the coolest thing I've ever experienced
That is awesome.
in an outside place. And I definitely want to go back to the tunnel. Like once I'm back up in that area, if it wasn't too far from me, I'd go back like almost every day. But it was definitely a 45-minute walk into the woods. So if you go there, you got to be ready to walk. And I mean, we were there till really late because I was enjoying the experience, and it was like intelligent, like it was literally like interacting with you while you were there. So when I tried, this is the coolest part, though. I think when I start playing my live back, because on TikTok you can go back, you can download the live and actually go review the live. Start playing the live back. Right as soon as the actual full body apparition appeared, like in the fog. The whole camera paused. The actual video of the camera paused. But it didn't pause during the live because people were able to take screenshots of it and send it to me. So luckily, the viewers that were watching, they were able to screenshot and send it to me. So I still have the screenshot. But on the video itself, it paused. It completely didn't capture any of the twirling. It didn't capture any of that, which kind of sucks, but I still experienced it. Like it was cool experiencing it in person, especially the people that were watching got to experience it themselves, like watching it. But yeah, it's definitely a cool place. But that was the Pennsylvania Portage Railroad Tunnel, which is neat. I got experience.
I would love to have. Oh, that would be awesome to have that experience.
Yeah, and that goes back with the bell. Like when we were talking about the bell earlier, like, when Maureen was talking about the bell, like things that you don't think about using in an investigation, like you could use. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Todd and Camilla, they're the ones that had it. And it was when I first they did a video of a live thing they did like a couple of weeks before we went last week, and it was responding to stuff, and then the bell just going crazy, bing, 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 like they wanted him to leave. So when they bought it this time, it was like interesting because I actually seen a shadow. I was by the doorway and I seen something going down the stairs. And I thought it was, what do you call it? I thought it was.
Thank you, Jenny.
Somebody walking by, and everybody was in the room. There was nobody out there. So I'm like, I said, God, put the bell by the stairs, and I have my camera there, and I put a millimeter, a RAM pod there also. And I kept on asking questions. If you're here, just hit the bell, bang, everything, bang. And then I said, if you want, and I said, I'm walking away now. I'm just going to leave it here because you're not responding too much. If I'm walking away, if you want to me to come back, hit the bell 3 times. Yeah. So I walk away. I'm standing. Also here, ding, ding, ding. I was like, I guess you want me back. And it was responding to you. So I thought that's pretty cool. They just got that. And I was like, when I first seen them, like, that's awesome. A bell. Who thought about a bell like that, even as a trigger object? Because the old, I mean, that goes back centuries. I know in school, it was in grammar schools, Catholic grammar school. If they didn't use their yardsticks, they'd be like, bing, bing, bing. You know, shut up. You know, especially in the library area and stuff. You know, then they use a yardstick on you. But
they said that there was a time that they used it for something, and it was like, bing, 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 and it wouldn't stop.
Really?
That was that's the one that I checked out before. That's when I first seen it. when the bell kept on going. They actually posted that live on Facebook.
That's cool. That reminds me of the time I went to White Hill and Ron was just starting out with his ITC stuff. And he was bringing that big boombox radio around.
Yes.
And we kept getting the telephone to ring. The telephone down in the basement.
Remember that?
Ring through the
boombox. I picked up the phone and I put my recorded by the phone. I'm like, hoping somebody says hello, because it's like those old phones there. You go and then you hold the thing up and you talk.
Yeah.
And
it was like the ringing. Phone. It was like the old school ringing, like bell of a phone.
And the bells were there on the phone. The exact bells were under the phone. Yeah, that was it. God, sorry.
Yeah, they would refer to it as a phone. It would talk. It would say like, "Hey, if you want to talk to us, pick up the phone. Let's talk." And you would hear the actual phone ringing through the box, like through the radio frequencies coming through as if it was ringing. It would say hello, and you would hear somebody else and they're coming through the box, like saying hello and like trying to have a conversation. It was neat.
Well, Patrick was so pissed because the bell was ringing and we were getting stuff on like the Panda box. I was getting information here. Carmela was getting stuff. Todd was getting stuff. The bell's dinging and he's like knocking on the door. He started to knock back and he's like, I can't get anything. I can't get anything at all here. He'd go to the other door and knock. Nothing was happening.
Yeah. That's great. It does get a little frustrating, but you can't help it. I mean, as long as somebody else is having activity or having something happen, it's always a plus. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, there's something going on there. I mean, I don't think this place is overwhelmed ghosts, but I think it's they have activity there from old. I mean, the last time I was there, I seen a spirit. Somebody looked like they died in front of one of the fireplaces. He was on the floor, and I had an image of the guy having a heart attack and falling. So I actually drew the person on the floor. So I mean, it was a very interesting place.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's always great.
Yeah, so
it's always great to have some fun.
Yes,
I feel like you get more activity, especially when you're all enjoying each other, like just having a conversation, like talking to each other, like actually interacting. You know what I mean? That seems to be when you get the most activity, especially when you're not trying to interact with what's there too.
The positive energy always seems to get more activity or more responses than anything negative you put out there. You know, and that's the way we go in and we try to just stay as positive as possible on this. So
of course, but well.
Thank you so much for being with us, Chris.
Anything you want to promote before you leave?
No, I mean, obviously the new documentary is coming out for Shanley, Haunted Shanley Hotel. ScareNetwork.tv. It comes out on the 22nd, which is actually tomorrow. On ScareNetwork.tv. So if you guys have the app, you want to download it, you can download that and just be able to look out. I started my YouTube channel back up again. United for the Unknown. I have TikTok, YouTube. Everything's under the same name, United for the Unknown. And I've been posting like actual investigation videos that I've been putting together for YouTube. And one of them is going to be the Shanley Hotel, or I'm sorry, not the Shanley, the Clifton 5 Theater once it's finished. And just be able to look out for those dates if you guys want to be a part of that. You guys are more than welcome to come. So.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I'll look into it. That'd be cool.
Of course. Well, listen. Like
Tell
I said,
Kelly I said hi too. I haven't seen Kelly in years, so.
Yeah, she's hiding inside the house right now.
Yeah, she probably is. She's never listening. Tell her I said hi.
Well, I will. I'll let her know. Thank you guys for having me on. I mean, you guys were a blast to talk to, and you guys have a great show. So,
good luck. We wait to see your show on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, give us some insight on what you think, or if you even liked it. Just let us know. If you didn't like it, still tell us.
So, before you go, I'm gonna put the ending on. Okay, before you go, we got to do this.
Hey, how you doing?
I love doing that,
Yes.
And tonight I just more I don't know from your mind, but I like to dedicate the show. I remember Joe McCaffrey, one of my friends. He was on Investigation with us all the time. Teammate, very good friend of mine. 3 years ago, yesterday, he passed. So
sorry to hear that.
I want to dedicate the show to him.
Of course.
So, You know, he was a good guy.
I'm sorry to hear that. He
Yeah.
definitely was. He came out with us over to Gettysburg. We went to Gettysburg.
Yes, he was in Gettysburg with us. Remember, we all sat down to dinner that night. Well, I don't
Yeah.
think you came up to Haiti. Did Haiti?
I didn't come.
Mikey?
Yeah, I didn't come to the dinner, but I was there for the investigation aspect of things.
Yeah.
But,
So,
well,
okay, guys.
Thank you
I
so
appreciate
much.
it. Thank you. Thank you for having me on again.
Nice
Have a good
to
night.
meet you. Have a great night.
Okay, good night, man.
And before we go, I would like to tell everybody I have a new podcast. It's every other week with Haiti. She was on our show once before, and she's with Beyond the Boundaries Paranormal, and you can see us there on YouTube. It's going to be every other week. It's going to be all things witchy. It's Enchanting Views and Mystic Brews. So catch us there. But other than that, this is Dimensions of the Supernatural. We are here every Thursday, 7:30 to 9:30, and we will be here next week. Check us out. Anthony.
Okay. Remember, you want to be safe out there because you want to look for ghosts. You don't want to be a ghost. And I got to tell you, have a good night. I hope you enjoyed the show. Chris was great, and forget about it. Ciao.
Good night, everybody.